Okay, guys, I am going to, where was this? Do some of these. Now, for those of you that were not in class for 12.42, that is all those derivatives we found. Here are some of the answers, okay? Some of the work we did in class. Obviously, some of the students did the answers to these in class. You can look through, you can hit pause on this video as you go back through here. I wanted to do a couple of the other problems, and you should be able to do these without a calculator. Again, you guys, you got to know some things you can do without a calculator, and these are not hard to do without a calculator. I'm going to make the math easy. Things should cancel out if it's a fraction or decimal. Okay, you should be able to do some of these things without a calculator. So let's just do a couple of them together. Let's look at number 12. Now the power rule says the derivative, you take the power of the x, you move it in front. Remember, if y prime is x to the n, if y is x to the n, then y prime is n x to the n minus 1. You take the power in front and you subtract 1. You subtract the power by 1. Okay, that's the power rule. So now a lot of you get confused when you see the constant term, but the constant term is really x to the 0, right? So we can see the reason why the derivative becomes 0 here. The derivative, if we take the power to the front, it gets multiplied by the 16, you get 0. So y prime is 0. 3 gets multiplied by the negative 7. Don't forget the negative sign. This is negative 21x, and then 3 minus 1 is 2. So this just simplifies as negative 21x squared. Okay, again, you should be able to do that without a calculator. Let's jump down here to 14. I'm going to put a answer key online. G prime of x, pretty simple here. The 2 comes in front, gets multiplied by the 2. You get 4x to the first. The 10x to the first, the 1 comes in front. You get 10 times 1 is 10. Sorry, plus 10x to the 0. But that's just 4x plus 10. You don't necessarily have to show this step with x to the 0. You could just write 10, because a lot of you know that the slope of 10x is just 10. Right? So g prime of x, and the slope at this is negative 62 times 0. 0 times 62 is 0. Again, you don't necessarily have to write that out, okay? But g prime of x, just to show you why that works, is 4x plus 10. That is the slope of the tangent line g prime, g of x. Okay, let's go down here, just make sure we got some things with fractions. Okay, number 15. F prime of x. The 15 comes in front, gets multiplied by the 1/3. I'm going to write that out. Times x to the 4th. The 4 comes in front, gets multiplied by the half. X to the 3rd. And then you got 2 hanging out there with the x. So that's the slope of the tangent line. 2x is just 2. And then now what do we got? 15 times the 3rd is 15 over 3, which is 5. X to the 4th. You got 1/2 times the 4 is negative 2. Times negative 4 is negative 2. X to the 3rd. And then you've got 0. You don't have to necessarily add that in. So that is f prime of x. Okay. Would I expect you to be able to do this without a calculator? I think so. Okay. G prime of x is 20 multiplied by 0.25 x to the 19th plus 15 times 1.6 x to the 14th plus 2.4 is the coefficient of x, so that's just 2.4. What this says is multiply 20 times 0.25. Think about that. That's 20 quarters. If you had 20 quarters in your pocket, how much do you have? Right? You'd have $5, right? Because each 4 makes $1. So this is 5x to the 19th. 15 times 1.6 might take a little bit of effort on your part, but you should be able to do this. 1.6. Now, 10 times 1.6 is 16, and 5 times 1.6 is half of that. 16 plus 8 is 24. I can do that in my head. If you had to multiply it out, you could do it this way. 6 times 5 is 30, carry the 3, 6, 9. Bring down a 0 for the second number, 15. This is 240, but you got one decimal place, so it's 24. Again, you should be able to multiply a couple of decimals before you graduate high school, so I got no problem with putting this on the no calculator section. This is g prime of x. Okay. Okay, what? A couple more tricky ones. Number 19. This is f prime of x is 7. What is this as a power of x? This is x to the 1/2. And this is 6x to the 3/2. Okay? Change this. This is the square root, right? This is the square root of x cubed. Remember, just because we don't see a number there doesn't mean there isn't one there. So it's x to the 3/2. Now that is not f prime. I made a mistake. It's not f prime. I haven't found the derivative yet. I just changed the way f of x looks so I could use the power rule. This is, right? Now I want to find the derivative. F prime of x. I bring the 1/2 in front. That's going to be 7 times 1/2 is 7/2. And 1/2 minus 1 is -1/2. I'm going to take the 3/2 in front. Let me take a step to do that. Multiply by the 6 times x. 3/2 minus 1 is 3/2 minus 2/2, which is just a half. Okay, so this is 7/2, which is 3.5 if you want to write that as a decimal. X to the -1/2. What's 3/2 times 6? Well, that's 6 over 1. 2 goes into 6 3 times. Multiplied by the 3 is 9. X to the 1/2. Okay, that is f prime. That's the derivative of f. Okay, go back and try that on your own. Hit pause as many times as you need to. Number 20. Looks like everything's set up there. I don't need to change anything. H prime of t is 2 multiplied by the -16 is -32. T to the first. And 96 is the coefficient of t to the first, so it's just going to be 96. Multiplied by 1 is 96. T to the 0, which is 1, so you don't need t anymore. That is your derivative of h. Okay? I will upload an answer key for the back side here because that was the assignment I just checked over really quickly and gave back to you, so you need those answers.